Hello, everyone. This is Ebony Vaughn, and as always, I come to you by way of Nexus Wellness Group and by way of Triple G Living, God Goes and Grind. And I am always excited to come and share a word that I truly believe equips, a word that empowers, and a word that educates the people of God. And I love, 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 love to come and share with you things that I believe that I am learning along the way, as well as things that I may believe that God is speaking to us about. Today, I want to talk about growth, and I am always excited to talk about growth and maturity because it is something that I truly believe will always occur, right? We're always growing. I don't care how old we are, I don't care what position we've in and what we have accomplished. We are truly always growing. And one thing that I am learning, whether it is in ministry, whether it is in business, whether it is in our advancements and growth opportunities on our jobs and or in community, is that growth requires us to abandon, and I'm going to use that word very strongly, abandon yesterday's definition of success, right? For us to really discover what success looks like today. Does that make sense? Sometimes our greatest accomplishments can become our greatest hindrances if we are unwilling to expand our mindset beyond what was into what is becoming. Does that make sense? New does not always mean more. And new does not always mean up. Oftentimes when we are in the corporate world, we think of climbing the corporate ladder. Whether we are in our communities, we're thinking about what is the higher position for me? How do I advance, right? But sometimes growth requires us to grow in depth and not in height. Does that make sense, guys? The other part to that is understanding that growth for us may not necessarily mean a new territory or a new elevation as much as it may mean alignment, right? Does that make sense? In my journey, I am learning so much about me. I'm learning so much about the way I think and also the limitations of how I think and how necessary it is for me to change that. And I just can't say that enough. And sometimes I get excited about the potential of my mind expanding. And then there are other times where I am humbled by how much I don't know because of what I'm learning. Does that make sense? And I love that God always puts us in positions. He always puts us in environments that causes us to expand the way we see things and the way that we experience life and also the way that we experience Him. As I was moving into this season and participating in different experiences that will cause me to grow, I entered into those experiences saying, God, I want to know what I don't know, right? I don't know what I don't know. And so I want to know that part. And I realize that that is what's happening, but it doesn't necessarily mean that externally there is movement, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that there's movement externally, but what's happening internally will, of course, cause me to rise, um, you know, in areas that God is moving me into. But again, we're talking about growth, and I just wanted to share that because I think that this is something that so many of us are going through. We'll all go through at some point in our lives, but I do think that it's important, and I think that the perspective matters. God bless you, everyone, and have an amazing weekend.